Okay, excellent. That's now recording. All right, let's give that a start. So I will just share my screen and then start the slideshow. All right, okay. So thanks everyone for joining. Unless you're listening to a recording, thanks for downloading the recording, I guess. So my name's Alex. I'm one of the SEs, one of the systems engineers, one of the pre-sales engineers here at SonicWall, doing this webinar on the SonicWall wireless offering with on behalf of NetThreat. Yeah, we're gonna go through the new releases of the Wave 2 access points and some of the features that came with 6.5. If you've had a chance to join any of my webinars in the past, you probably get the structure. We're going to stick to that. I'm just going to mute all the lines, and then so yeah, if there's any questions, please send any questions into the chat room. That'll be fine, but if you can wait, there will be a Q&A at the end of the session. I envisage it won't be more than about 40 minutes, 35, 40 minutes. I don't want to delve too deeply in the, excuse me, in the configuration and how to do it with the wireless. There's a lot to cover. So this is going to be a very high level, but hopefully point you in the direction of what you need should you need more information about it. Okay, so. Why don't we kick off? So the reason why we picked SonicWall Wireless is just that with the, well, actually, let's just jump the slide right away. Let's just do that. There we go. So the increase of use in wireless. So this is no surprise. This isn't a new thing. It's definitely a message that SonicWall is pushing, and I'm sure the guys at NetThreat are doing the same. Why is there a higher demand for wireless? Well, there's Internet of Things. I mean, there are a lot of devices that have network cards these days, and need to be controlled, especially in the home, but also in the workplace. If you have a look at the SonicWall threat report, actually the latest one is being released in about 2 or 3 weeks' time, I believe. So keep an eye out for that. If you're not sure, by all means, drop us an email. I'll leave my details at the end, or get in touch with NetThreat. So, the threat report will almost certainly talk about the increase in wireless devices and the threats that can come therein. So, that's the reason that here at SonicWall we're trying to keep on top of it. What are the new things? Well, bandwidth is increasing with the new Wave 2 standard, .11 AC Wave 2 at the bottom there. It means that the throughput is increasing. So, typically a firewall will have a gig interface. I don't think you can get firewalls with 100 meg interfaces unless they're the smaller range. And if you're going to have a gig interface and you're able to transmit, 2.5 gig worth of wireless speed, well, you don't want the firewall to be the bottleneck. So we're having to accommodate that accordingly. And certainly here at SonicWall, we've if you join one of our previous sessions with the release of the X2 2650 model, you realize that we're on top of that. So nothing too surprising there. There's just a small number there at the bottom left, 9 billion Wi-Fi enabled devices expected for use in year. So yeah, if you're not already using wireless, why not? And if you are, do you have one that can cope with the capacity, cope with the multiple SSIDs, that sort of thing? All right, so yeah, all pretty obvious. So let's talk about the SonicWave Series, the new SonicWave Series. This was released back in September. I've got a couple of slides here that talk about these. So as I mentioned, the Wave 2. Probably the biggest change is the fact that for the first time our access points are MU-MIMO or MU-MIMO, depends on how you want to pronounce it, multi-user, multi-in, multi-out. So what does that mean? So before that we were single user. So if you had a legacy AC SonicWall access point, or maybe even an N series, or perhaps only access point that you have that isn't SonicWall, single user means that you can only deal with one connection at a time. So a user requests traffic, and that happens before jumping on the next user. If you've got multiple connected clients, then you'll start to see a lag and a delay. So multi-MU is definitely multi-MIMO is definitely something that everyone should have. 4x4, that's the number of radios. and we'll do some comparisons as well shortly. So there's that 2.5 gig port thing I mentioned. I mean, that's pretty fast. If you're able to get 2.5 gig, then why would you have a wired connection at all, really? I'm certainly starting to see in the conversations I'm having with customers that you know, the need or the lack of the need to have a switch anymore, to just have everything wireless. So there is a reliability. I can only assume that will increase. Okay, triple radio architecture, deep packet inspection of the wireless traffic, so the new access points themselves, you know, they can process traffic on board. And various other features like that. So there's an indoor and outdoor model. So for the first time, here in the bottom right-hand corner, we've got the 4320. That's the outdoor aerial. For those customers who need to cover, you know, courtyards, playgrounds, that sort of thing. You know, archaeology trenches is something that I've got from experience from a previous life. You need an outdoor access point. But as usual, we have our standard ones. You have the 432i, which is our internal model. You know, looks like a fire alarm. Those tend to be discrete with its blinking lights. And then we've got the 432 with its movable aerials. There is a whole science to how the aerials work and how they manage coverage. I'm definitely not going to go through this. And you know, there's days worth of courses out there to go through this. But I mean, essentially, they emit a torus of the coverage is a torus, a bubble, a donut-shaped bubble. And you can manipulate those aerials to do that. You essentially point to where you want the traffic to be connected. But yeah, so you know, those are the access points that you want. And you know what? The ones that you decide will probably depend on the site survey you have. And I have to stress now, any wireless installation, you know, if it's complex enough, should have a site survey to go along with it. Guessing where to put your access points can cause all sorts of troubles. Okay, and our support certainly is inundated with tickets whereby, oh, you know, we're not getting, there's something wrong with the wireless and all the rest of it, and then, you know, just someone hadn't pictured the lead walls or something like that. Okay. So something that we've got coming up. So there's a little roadmap slide later on, and you know what we're looking at here is something fairly new. It's not out yet. One of the issues that certainly we had at SonicWall with our Wave 2 access points was pricing. They're very powerful. And you know, when it comes to density, there may be an issue having the number of access points that we do. That's why we're releasing 3 more access points, which are 2x2 radios. So they'll be still Wave 2 compatible, but they'll be 2x2. And you can just see from that chart there. We've got the C, which is the ceiling mount, the W, which is the wall mount, and the O, which is again the outside mount. So these are you know just slightly less powerful. But still covering Wave 2, and this is for density. You know, if you want to cover a large area, lots of users, then these are you would complement your existing Wave 2 access points with these ones. So this is new. This is upcoming. You know, I should have got the release date. I believe it's Q2 of this year. So you know, expect to have these available. And if you want to get a price on those, okay. Right. So again, just to go through the time of what we had, going back a few years, about 4, we had the N series, which isn't even on here. We don't tend to talk about those anymore. The .11 N access points, those were replaced with the AC. Those have been the bulk of our wireless access points there on the left. There's the N2. We still support N. We have an N2, but you know, I don't think there are many legacy sites that have invested that much on N series NIC cards on their laptops or tablets and whatever that they can't that they still need these, but you know, they're still available. But yeah, there's the ACI and the ACE, internal and external. So where we are now is this is here in the middle column. We have our external ones here, the one we talked about, the 432 range. There's the existing AC range. They're not going anywhere. They're still available. So you can still get those. They're all controlled by 6.5 and on your firewall if you need to. And then obviously here we go with the Q2 with the 231C, 224W, and then not at the same time, but the external SonicWave is listed there. Okay, I just want to. What we got there? Looks like someone's enabled their camera. Feel free to disable your camera, whoever that is. You know, if you don't want to be on screen, we're all watching you. Okay. Always one. Okay. I'm gonna get rid of that, aren't I? There we go. Right, so let's talk about the highlights. So what do we mean by 6.5 features? Well, with the way, in order to have the Wave 2 access points, you need to have a SonicWall installed with a 6.5 minimum of firmware. So 6.5.1 is now available in beta, but 6.5.0 is what you will get if you buy a firewall now. So that's the one with the new user interface. Again, if you watched the previous session, I would have talked in detail about that. I'm sure that session is available to download if you get in touch with the guys at NetThreat. So what we've done, there were a lot of changes with 6.5, but the lion's share of them were wireless features. So we're very much intended to put some energy behind our wireless offering. So band steering, we're going to get to that a bit later. I've got a couple of slides on that. Being able to jump between 2.4 and 5 gig. Airtime fairness, applying fairness to the connected clients. We talked about multi-user serving. You can just see the animation there of what it is. We've already gone through that. So that's a new to 6.5. Floor plan view and management. So I call them site survey light. It's being able to, one of the things that we were criticized on in the past with our AC range was being able to know what access points were connected to where and so on. So we've remedied that with 6.5. If there is a need, incidentally, at the end of this session, by all means ask, and I can jump onto a demo box and show you some of these screens, on a live device. Something that which you can also see if you jump onto livedemo.sonicwall.com. So yeah, we're going to go through that, and then one of the features that I quite like is the MIFI extender. That's kind of a big deal, and I'll explain why shortly. All right, so I've shoehorned this slide in. It's more of a sales tool than anything, but just to give you an idea of what they can do where. Perhaps I should have had this slide before last. So the N series there, all the way on the right, and what they can't do. And then you have the N2, which was to supplement the remaining N customers' AC. And then the SonicWave. So SonicWave includes the 2x2s and the 4x4s and all the features that come therein. So airtime fairness and band steering are definitely something that's going to be, that's going to appeal to, the users that are looking for quality connectivity and so on. There are plenty of others, specifically with the management, so yeah, that just give you an idea. All right, I'm not going to go through all of these. I've only cherry-picked the ones I think may be relevant. There's extensive information on our website if you want to go to through some of these in detail. Oh, I just do that. Sorry. Yep, there we go. So one second. Let's just do that again. So yeah, these are all the features there. Just two of them. Just to pick out a few. Cyclic quota for guest user group. I haven't included that, but that's for guest access. Something we didn't have in the past was being able to manage the amount of traffic that guests were able to access. Okay, so say you've got a quota of X meg, and they go through that. There was a time when you had to recreate their account. Wasn't ideal. We've sort of fixed that. The bandsteering we've talked about. WDS mode. I think I've got a slide on that. If you're familiar with WDS, be able to auto connect devices without having to put keys in. We support that. What else we got there? I can pick out that I'm not already going through. Radius accounting, again, just adding more flexibility for the portal side, for the guest user side, yeah, and so on, and various other things that we have actually got slides on. All right. I think there's a few more here. Yeah, GRE multi-core support, and those are the management views I mentioned. Right, so let's talk, what does it look like? And again, you can see this live if you jump onto livedemo.sonicwall.com. So we've got a Sonicpoint dashboard. So again, if you remember my previous talk about 6.5, if you're on that session, I made a big fuss about our dashboard when you first log onto a SonicWall, and how arguably on a single screen you would have enough information there to give you an idea of what the status of your network is, and just by looking at that one screen, if there's a situation that needs to be addressed, whether it's a fault or whether it's a configuration issue. Same with our wireless. So if you jump onto SonicPoint wireless, and you'll notice here that the menu is the classic mode. If you jump onto SonicPoint and dashboard, you get to see all your access points there. you know, which access point is transmitting the most traffic. So, you know, let's say you've got access points deployed and some of your users are saying, well, something's not quite right, or why is this happening? You should be able to, at a glance, be able to look at your devices, see what they're connected, how much they've transmitted, and this is purely from the dashboard. All right, and there's some sort of you know, visual buttons there and icons there to let you know what's going on where. All right. Okay. So the floor management view. Again, this was largely designed so that you could keep tabs of where your deployment is. It's all well and good if you're installing these, or perhaps someone installed these for you. You know, knowing where they are, and as an engineer who spent a lot of his time doing a lot of documentation for wireless installs in the past, you know, these things can change. They could be fluid. You know, you want to keep a record for other engineers when they look at it. There's nothing worse than doing an install and then having someone else who wasn't involved not knowing where everything is and how to troubleshoot it. Okay, so you get little icons there of where your access points are on. I've got some actual graphics coming up. If it's green, it's online. If it's red, it's offline. If it's yellow, it's busy. The Sonic points, because they are managed by the firewall, I should stress that. It's one of those given things that I forget to mention. Because they're managed by the firewall, then the firewall deals with its firmware and its config. As you'll see later on, that there are some changes coming to that, but for now the firewall is managing the Sonic point. So if there's an upgrade going on, or if there's some configuration provisioning going on, and then you'll see that the access point is yellow. All right, and there we are. There's the floor plan. There is a what looks like a very busy office with a lot of seats in it, you know, someone's plunked the access points thereabouts, and you can see where it's what's located where. And you could do that directly from the firewall interface. Okay, just a bit more there. You can sort of see a little bubble there of what the coverage is like. Okay, and you could specify when you build this this graphic, you can also set a rough idea of what material the walls are, whether it's, you know, concrete or glass and so on, and obviously that will help decide whether whether you'll be able to get a signal through various locations. So, you know, it's not there to replace a full site survey, but it's certainly there to help. You know, especially if it's a small location, the site surveys can be expensive. You know, this will probably be able to help you sort of ascertain what goes where. And as you can see, there's a little bubble there. How long the device has been up. So, you know, if people are saying the wireless is dropping out, you can assume how many people are connected to it and whether it indeed has lost power or so on. Okay. Just a few more there, just to give you an idea of adding floors and so on. It's a very own design package. Okay, so if you've got a 6.5 firewall, you could start doing this now without access points. Nothing to stop you from doing that. All right, so then there's comes to the topology management view. So this is a sort of a network display. You'll see now that we've jumped onto the updated non-classic mode now there. So under topology view, you can see your SonicWall there and all the access points that are connected, and where the radius server is. That's used for authentication. Okay. You know, well, again, for troubleshooting reasons, that'll be very useful. But if one of those turn red, then you know that you've lost an access point. Again, this is just some stuff that wasn't available before. You had the dashboard on the previous operating system. It just had the access points listed and a little status comment. Okay, and then just a few more bits about that. You can have a look at the status individual ones, and, you know, right clicking and looking at that in detail. Okay, just a few more. Again, I'm not going to go into too much detail. It's worth mentioning though that we do the same thing for our X series switch support, which is a Dell X series switch, which you can also manage from the firewall. Okay, so fingerprinting and reporting. So this is a real-time monitor. You can have a look at the CPU from the access points. The client's connected in more detail. So on top of the dashboard there, you can have more detail there, and you can see all the traffic that's going RX and TX, so the traffic that's going in and coming out, and you know, when MAC addresses have been blocked, should you wish to do it like that. Okay, and there's a bit more about there. I'm just going to skip through these. I've probably attached more than's needed for this. But yeah, if you've got any questions, I can always jump back to these. I can always jump back to these slides. All right, so this one is something that we have done back in the AC, but I definitely think it's worth mentioning again. So this is a solution which the customers that I see using it are very fond of it. So well, what is this? This is essentially an access point, a Sonicpoint that you've got, whether it's Wave 2 or AC. And what it will do, it will set up you'll configure it to set up an SSL connection back to your firewall. So why would you need to do that if an access point is on LAN? Well, the whole purpose is that you can take that offsite, connect it to an internet connection somewhere else. So you can plug it into an internet connection in maybe a data center or a remote office. I've got one customer who does this solution for their home workers. So each home worker, rather than getting a firewall, they get a Sonicpoint and they take that home and they have an SSID, which won't interfere with their own sort of personal home ID, SSID. So it doesn't interfere with their I don't know, Xbox connection or whatever, or their Netflix connection, and so his or her work laptop will join that access point. That will then create an SSL tunnel back to the HQ firewall, and then you'll be able to manage it and provision it just like you have seen in those last few sites. So I mean, you can imagine the benefit to this, not having to send a firewall just to secure that connection. And because it's encrypted, it will be essentially as if you're sat on the LAN next to the firewall itself. So that might be a solution that would appeal to you if you have an access point. Okay. Spinning on, one thing to consider is obviously the gateway for all that traffic will be at that HQ. So as well as using the internet to go back to the HQ, it's going to go out and then come back in and then jump across the tunnel. That's just one thing to be aware of. Okay, band steering. What have we got here? So band steering is the ability to jump between 5 gig and 2.4 gig. So there's a comment there about microwave and Bluetooth use 2.4 gig. Actually, if I remember rightly, so 5 gig is the frequency of choice. I just saw that about the PoE. We'll jump back to that in the end. Thanks for the message. So if you're on 5 gig, that's usually the frequency of choice. If your NIC card support, it's the newer one. But 5 gig doesn't have the penetration through material like 2.4 gig does. So the whole point of band steering is if a service is not that great for a client on a 5 gig connection from an access point, you will automatically jump to 2.4 gig, and this is configurable. Okay, so you can decide whether it does it, whether it doesn't do it, or when to do it. So that's certainly a benefit to be able to do the signal strength, and you can have a look and in the topology graph that we looked at, you can have a look there and see which one is preferred. Okay, so I know I've got Cisco access points there. I should probably rip them out, but that just gives you an idea of what happens with band steering. You got everything coming on 2.4, and the 5 gig is only a couple. Well, it can do some sharing to make sure that the radios are being equally used. All right, so yeah, so if you just look there on the right, so someone's what's on there? Hang on, sorry. Someone's highlighting the little graph icon there. That's something that we've always had. You get that on our access rule page. But if you click on that, you can get the details of what that traffic's going through. So you can really break it down, really be granular about client usage. It's important. I think wireless in particular needs more troubleshooting than just generic connections. Well, I don't think, I know, for obvious reasons. There are a lot of factors, a lot of variables going on. Trying to troubleshoot and work out if wireless is causing the issue, or if it's the user, if it's the website they're going to, it can be an issue. This is why this screen will make it particularly useful for troubleshooting. Okay, so we're just going to talk about airtime fairness, though. Imagine you've got the different wireless frequencies. So you've got 11G and 11N. So what happens? What we're saying here is because 11G take a lot longer to get their connection, to get their traffic through versus the .11n, you might find that the .11n users are suffering because they're waiting for the .11G to speed up. So airtime fairness, and it is a feature you have to enable. It's not on by default. It tries to assign a similar airtime to each station, so it makes sure that they're that the faster NIC cards are not made to suffer at the expense of the old NIC cards. We won't want stop those old NIC cards from working altogether. You're still going to get devices, especially if you have a guest environment where guests are going to be turning up. You just don't know what sort of laptops they have, and they might not be lucky to get a NIC card that it's whether it's AC or N or whatever, what is compatible. So airtime fairness. Typically, this is configured as a reaction to an issue. So you see users suffering with the faster NICs because there are a lot of old legacy connection, and you could see that from the topology screens we just looked at. So at that point, airtime fairness would be the way forward. It's not dissimilar to bandwidth management on a SonicWall. It's a great feature. A lot of people use it, but it tends to be implemented as a result of an issue, as a reaction. So just something to bear in mind. Okay, so repeater mode. Repeater mode is useful if you have that sort of topology where there's a lack of cabling and so on. You could set a WDS link to an access point and not have a wired connection. So if you have a SonicWall with a built-in wireless, I do. The traffic for this presentation is actually going through a TZ400W right now. Because they have wireless, you can actually bridge connections. So perhaps you have. And I imagine that this scenario is not ideal, but I've got a shed at the bottom of the garden. I could have an access point halfway in an outhouse maybe, or perhaps just sat there if the coverage reaches. I don't need a connection to it, and then I can have a LAN extension across that. Another example is if the ADSL line or a lease line comes in somewhere and you just don't, you just can't wire an office to it. Perhaps you have offices with multiple annexes and that sort of setup. Then this is why you would do that. Okay, so there might be a solution there that would appeal to you. MIFI extender. Okay, so for those of you who've used SonicWall, perhaps you've had an occasion where the lease line has failed and you've used maybe a 3G or a 4G connection in the USB ports as a backup line. Okay, that's great. Well, why not? It's certainly something. It's a very cost-effective way to retain connectivity. The problem I get a lot of is, well, if you have a large firewall, then the chances are, I should say, that the firewall will be in a rack in a comms room with lots of thick walls and thick doors. You put a 3G dongle into that, then what are the chances of you getting a signal? So what we've done with the new Wave 2 access points is they come with USB ports. You can actually connect a dongle directly into the Wave 2 access point and configure that as a WAN interface. So the access point, which is typically going to be on a wall or a ceiling near a window with more coverage, what you're doing is if the lease line that's plugged in directly to the firewall goes down, you're going to use the 3G, 4G connection, but the point of entry will be to that access point and then down. Obviously, if you lose the access point, then that's going to break that connection. But you can imagine the usefulness of that. Every time I mention the 3G, 4G backup on the firewall itself, I get a lot of that. So why on earth would we do that if we've got no signal? Well, there you go. That's to help with that. So the MIFI extender is something that we find useful. It's worth mentioning there's a compatibility list of the 3G, 4G dongles that are available on our website. It's US heavy. There are dongles which we do support in Europe and the UK, and ideally you'd walk into a shop and find one and it will work. But what we do say is if there is one that you need to get working, we can program our SonicWalls to take them, but they have to be sent to California. I think it's worth chucking that in. That comes up quite a bit. So if your dongle isn't supported, we do have to get that programmed so that it works on the access point in a firmware release. But yeah, perhaps it would be easier just to get one that is compatible. Okay, so what have I done? Oh, this is actually a roadmap. I've probably got the wrong heading on this. So I've already mentioned the new access points, the 2x2s. That's coming up. What's actually quite exciting is those wireless cloud manager. So we learned about this fairly recently, our recent tech summit. So what we're looking to do is we're going to break away from a SonicWall tradition where your access points can only be managed by a firewall. We're doing it in such a way that you will buy an access point, and this will be compatible with the technology that you buy, so the Wave 2 access points themselves. You hook them up to a connection, and they will call home, and you can manage them from the cloud. So this is the SonicWall cloud that is already used for various things such as GMS and email security and so on. So you'll be able to log onto your My SonicWall account, see your access points, and then manage them from there. And they will have security services on the access point. Okay, so it has the processor for that. So you can imagine the benefits of that. It's something that our competitors are already doing. So you could argue we're playing a bit of catch up right here, but yeah, we're expecting that to be very popular. I'll answer that in a second. Sounds like they hadn't even heard of that. Okay, so mesh networking, .11s, being able to have access points talking to other access points, have redundancy. That's another thing. And then what we also do is we have a Wi-Fi planner that's currently in beta, not dissimilar to the topology view, and this is something that's going to be available via your My SonicWall account. So you won't need a firewall to do your the Wi-Fi planning. You use the planner, you put a map on it, and you do that configuring. So there are a few other things coming up. I had to remove them; they weren't set in stone. So these are the main improvements on the wireless that we've got coming up. Okay, I've already blitzed through that. I'm sure that there's a whole bunch of stuff that we need to ask. So what I'll do is I'll open the lines. We'll go through some of these questions now. Hi Russell. Yeah, I saw a Sonic Tech ID suggesting that the layer 3 PoE switches you do recommend specific switches. Oh, of course, yeah, PoE. Sorry, I did forget to address that. Yeah, so I mean, the PoE requirement is detailed for each one. We're in partnership with Dell X Series, which will be able to power the access points. We don't have PoE on the interfaces on the firewall themselves yet. That's something that we're considering. If you buy an access point and you don't have a PoE switch, you can buy them with power bricks. You get the pricing for that, and which means you need a power connection for them. So yeah, it depends on the access point for how much power you got. So the recommendation is for a Dell X Series. And I'm just going to read the rest of this. You know what? I'm going to unmute the line, Russell. If you're there, I'm just going to ask for clarity rather than having me grunt in the background. So if I unmute the line, and then we can do our Q&A. But Russell, if you're there, by all means, jump in. Okay, that sounds about right. Russell, are you there? No, maybe not. Maybe he's got
scared and ran away, hasn't he?
Yeah, he disappeared. Oh, that's fine. Well, let me just see what he's trying to say. So it's from the Tech Article 6.5 connectivity. Yeah, that's right. And they phoned the States and had not even read it. Okay. Oh, sorry, this is a private message. I'm not sure about that. I'd have to look into that. I can update on that. But yeah, I mean, there's no reason why you can't do that. I'm not quite sure what they didn't know whether he called support. I'm asked here, is it okay to yes, please do, Russell. If you want to send me the PDF, I'll go through that and I can address that offline. So 2.4, is it okay to switch off 2.4 gig? Yes, you can. There is the option, so you do get the choice on the band steering whether you can, whether you want to sort of switch off the 2.4 gig and just have 5 gig. It's a perfectly reasonable thing to set up. So yeah, that's on the band steering side of the Sonicpoint. Okay. Are there any other questions that we might have? Okay, yeah, she was going in. You've got 7 Sonic ACIs. Russell, I'm guessing you don't have a microphone, and that's why I can't join in. So you keep typing away, and I'll try and address this. It's a bit difficult in this medium, but MacBook connectivity. All right. I mean, there shouldn't be. It really depends on what NIC cards you've got on it. The sort of problems that I see with wireless is, like I say, you know, a site server that missed the point, missed the congestion. You know, you could call support and log a ticket if there's something going on. I don't think it's anything specific with MacBook. You know, having 7 ACIs, I've seen issues where people who've installed ACIs, and it'll be the same with Wave 2, and they immediately ramp up the power to maximum, and they get that bleed issue and interference. Something that I've seen with, you know, with the Rubra, with the Ruckus, with Meraki, all that sort of thing. And you know, it's very difficult to troubleshoot that. Russell, it sounds like you're sort of talking about a very specific case. Happy to take that offline if you haven't got a support ticket, rather than having it on this presentation, which is going to be recorded and go out. So no problem. So yeah, if are there any other questions, by all means, jump up and say your piece, and I'll do my best to answer. No, sounds good. Sarah, are you there? It's anything there that you want to chuck in on behalf of NetThreat, maybe, or anyone from NetThreat, even if you're gone? No. Okay, right. So that's fine. We can certainly wrap that up there. Hello, who's that?
It's Pete from NetThreat. Pete Cord. You're right.
Pete. Yep.
Oh yeah. No, Sarah has. She's got no microphone.
Okay, fair enough.
She says thank you. Thanks for the webinar. Nice one.
Oh, no worries, no worries. So that's okay. I'll wrap up this one now. If there's no other questions, I'll end it now. But how about a little heads up? We do this every sort of couple of months, and I know this one there was a bit of a gap because of Christmas and so on. But the next one we're doing, hopefully, if that's okay with you, with NetThreat, is we're going to talk about the new Sonicpoint, the SonicWall endpoint. We're going to talk about the new SentinelOne partnership and the endpoint with certificate provisioning, something that's just coming out in beta at the moment. So I'm hoping in a couple of months' time we will do something there. So yeah, look out for emails from the guys at NetThreat, because that's going to be a very interesting one. It's going to be a game changer, I think, for SonicWall and for your local security. On that note, I think I will kill this session. Again, if there's a question that you wanted to ask but didn't want to do it in such a public forum, send a request to NetThreat, and maybe we can have a call if needs be to discuss your specific solution. All right, I'm just going to end that up there.